The words sliced through the quiet courtroom before proceedings had even begun. "Sit down, old man. You're useless anyway." Sergeant Thomas Avery, 68 years old and leaning on a cane, stopped mid-stride. The retired veteran turned slowly, his jaw tightening as he registered the insult. Without a word, he took his seat in the back row, eyes fixed forward with the discipline of a man who'd spent 22 years in military service. Judge Frank Caprio heard it. So did everyone else in the room. The bailiff near the door stiffened. The court stenographer's fingers paused over her keyboard. The clerk looked up sharply from her papers. And at the defense table, a teenage boy sat slouched in his chair, arms crossed, his expression hovering somewhere between boredom and contempt. Judge Caprio set down his pen with deliberate precision. He removed his reading glasses slowly, the kind of measured movement that said more than words ever could. His gaze settled on the 16-year-old at the defense table. "Stand up," Caprio said quietly. The boy didn't move. "Stand up," the judge repeated. His voice hadn't risen, but it didn't need to. Defense attorney Rebecca Sloan touched her client's arm gently. The boy finally stood, slowly and reluctantly, as if the simple act was beneath his dignity. Caprio studied him for a long moment before speaking. "What you just said to that man, did you mean it?" The boy shrugged. "He was in my way." "That's not what I asked." "Did you mean it when you called him useless?" The teenager glanced at his attorney. She gave a subtle shake of her head. He looked back at the judge. "I don't know, I guess." "You guess?" Caprio leaned forward slightly. "Let me tell you what I know. The man you just insulted served this country for 22 years. He was injured in combat. He walks with a cane because of what he endured defending your freedom. And you called him useless." Silence filled the courtroom. Caprio continued, his voice steady and clear. "Before we even begin this hearing, I want everyone present, and yes, this is public record, to understand something. Wealth does not excuse cruelty, age does not excuse arrogance, and disrespect, especially toward those who have served, will not be tolerated in this courtroom." Court clerk Miss Reyes stood and read from the file in her steady, formal voice. "Case number 25 JV 1917. State versus Carter Winslow, Juvenile. 4 counts. Disorderly conduct in a public space, harassment of an elderly person, destruction of a lawful citation, and contempt for refusing lawful commands from a peace officer." Rebecca Sloan rose immediately. Her expensive suit and practiced tone were designed to minimize and move on quickly. "Your Honor, Mr. Winslow is a minor with no prior juvenile record. He's a student in good standing at East Side Preparatory Academy. This incident was a youthful mistake. His family is prepared to pay all fines and any restitution immediately. We respectfully request resolution today, so that Mr. Winslow can return to his academic responsibilities." Caprio's gaze remained fixed on Carter. "Is that how you see this? As something your father pays for and you forget?" Carter shrugged again. "Pretty much." "This court is not a payment portal," Caprio said flatly. He turned to the clerk. "Is there a prior juvenile advisory on file?" Miss Reyes nodded. "Yes. Your Honor, Mr. Winslow received a verbal advisory 7 months ago following a verbal altercation with an elderly usher at a school fundraising event. The usher reported that Mr. Winslow used profane language and refused to follow seating instructions. The matter was resolved informally through school administration." Caprio looked back at Carter. "So this isn't the first time you've had difficulty respecting older adults." "That guy was being dramatic," Carter muttered. "Dramatic," Caprio repeated. "Is that what you call enforcing rules?" Carter didn't answer. Judge Caprio opened the case file. "Tell me what happened on October 19th, Carter sighed heavily. "I was riding my scooter in the park. Some old dude freaked out. The cop overreacted. That's it. Some old dude, Caprio said slowly. You mean Sergeant Avery? I don't know his name. You didn't ask. Why would I? Caprio's expression remained neutral, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Because he's a human being. Because he was in your path. Because respect isn't optional. Carter rolled his eyes. The judge turned toward the side of the courtroom. Officer Camacho, please approach. Officer Brian Camacho, mid-30s and composed, stepped forward and took the witness stand. After being sworn in, he opened his notebook and spoke in a clear, precise voice. At approximately 3:42 p.m. on October 19th, I was on foot patrol in Roger Williams Park, near the Veterans Memorial Walkway. I observed a juvenile male riding an electric scooter at high speed through a crowded pedestrian area. Multiple people had to move out of his path. As I approached to issue a warning, I saw the juvenile nearly collide with an elderly man using a cane. He turned a page. The elderly man stumbled but did not fall. He said something to the juvenile. I couldn't hear what. The juvenile stopped, turned around and said, and I'm quoting from my notes, "Why don't you stay home if you can't walk right?" The courtroom went silent. Officer Camacho continued. I approached and identified myself. I asked the juvenile for identification. He refused. I explained that riding a motorized scooter at excessive speed in a pedestrian zone is a violation. He said, "Do you know who my dad is?" I began issuing a citation. He took the citation from my hand, crumpled it, and threw it into the fountain approximately 15 feet away. He threw it into the fountain, Caprio said. Yes, Your Honor. What happened next? I informed him that destruction of a citation is a criminal offense. He said, and again I'm quoting, "Why would I listen to someone who's basically useless?" I asked for clarification. He gestured toward the elderly man and said, "I meant him, but honestly, same goes for you." Caprio turned his attention back to Carter. Is that accurate? Carter's face flushed. He's exaggerating. Is Officer Camacho lying? I didn't say it like that. How did you say it? Carter didn't answer. Is there video evidence? Caprio asked. Yes, Your Honor. Park security footage and body cam audio. Additionally, a bystander recorded part of the interaction on their phone. Let's see it. The courtroom screen flickered to life. The security footage showed a wide shot of the park walkway. A figure on a scooter weaved dangerously through pedestrians. An elderly man with a cane stepped to the side. The scooter clipped his arm. The man stumbled. The footage switched to body cam audio. Sir, I'm Officer Camacho with the Providence Police. I need to speak with you about your operation of that scooter. Why? You were traveling at an unsafe speed in a pedestrian area. Can I see some identification? Do you know who my dad is? Sir, I need identification. This is stupid. I'm issuing a citation. Please. The sound of paper crumpling. A splash. Why would I listen to someone who's basically useless? Who are you referring to? That old dude, but honestly, same goes for you. The audio ended. The courtroom remained silent. Caprio looked at Carter. Still think Officer Camacho is exaggerating? Carter stared at the table. Are there any communications on record regarding this case? Caprio asked the clerk. Miss Reyes opened a folder. Yes, Your Honor. The court received 2 phone calls and 1 email from the legal department of Winslow Luxury Group within 28 minutes of the citation being issued. Something in Caprio's posture sharpened. 28 minutes. What was the content? Miss Reyes read from the file. The first call at 4:01 p.m. was from a corporate attorney requesting case details and suggesting an expedited resolution. The second call at 4:13 p.m. was from the same attorney offering to coordinate direct restitution to avoid court proceedings. The email sent at 4:21 p.m. included the subject line, Corporate reputation risk. Request for quiet resolution. Rebecca Sloan stood quickly. Your Honor, Mr. Winslow is a minor. He did not authorize those communications. Did he tell his father what happened? Caprio asked. Sloan hesitated. He may have mentioned it. He may have, Caprio said slowly. Or he called his father immediately, and his father's legal team mobilized to bury this before it became public. He turned to the clerk. Read the email into the record. Miss Reyes cleared her throat. To Providence Municipal Court, we represent Winslow Luxury Group and its principals. We understand a citation was issued this afternoon involving a family member. Given the sensitive nature of the matter and potential reputational impact, we respectfully request an immediate private meeting to discuss a mutually agreeable resolution. We are prepared to offer compensation beyond standard penalties. Please contact us directly. Caprio looked at Carter. Compensation beyond standard penalties? Your father tried to buy your way out within half an hour. Carter said nothing. Is Sergeant Avery available? Caprio asked. Yes, Your Honor. He's present in the gallery. Sergeant Avery, please approach. The older man stood slowly from the back row, using his cane to steady himself as he walked to the witness stand. After being sworn in, he sat down carefully. Caprio's voice was gentle. Sergeant Avery, thank you for being here. Can you tell the court what happened on October 19th? Avery's voice was steady, patient and worn smooth by years of hardship and dignity. I was walking through the park. I go there most afternoons. I saw a young man on a scooter coming fast. He wasn't paying attention. I tried to step aside, but he clipped my arm. I stumbled. My cane almost fell. I said, "You need to slow down. People walk here." He paused. He turned around and said I should stay home if I can't walk right. Then he laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a mean one. His voice didn't waver, but something beneath it carried tremendous weight. I've been hit by shrapnel. I've been knocked down by explosions. But disrespect cuts deeper. The courtroom was completely silent. I didn't want to press charges initially. The officer asked if I wanted to, and I said no at first. But then the young man threw the citation away and called me useless. And I thought, maybe he needs to learn something I didn't teach my own kids well enough. That respect matters, that service matters, that every person, no matter their age, deserves dignity. Caprio nodded slowly. Thank you, Sergeant. You've served with honor. This court will make sure you're treated with the respect you've earned. After Avery returned to his seat, Caprio turned back to Carter. Do you have anything to say to Sergeant Avery? Carter shifted uncomfortably. His voice was flat. Sorry. Sorry for what? For what I said. And for what you did, Carter hesitated. I didn't mean to knock him. But you did mean to insult him. No answer. Caprio leaned forward. Let me tell you something about Sergeant Avery. 10 years ago, he pulled 3 teenagers out of the Seekonk River after their car went off the road. One of them was 15, about your age. He saved their lives. While you were learning to ride a scooter, he was learning to walk again after taking shrapnel in both legs. Carter's face went pale. And when you called him useless, you told a man who has spent his entire life serving others that his sacrifice means nothing. Carter looked down. His voice was barely audible. My dad spends more on shoes. The room froze. Caprio's expression didn't change, but his voice dropped to something quieter and sharper. Your father's shoes. That's your response? Carter muttered under his breath. Whatever. Old people want medals for existing. The silence that followed lasted 12 full seconds. Judge Caprio opened the case file and read silently. Then he began. Here's what the evidence shows. Park security footage confirms the defendant operating a scooter at unsafe speed in a pedestrian area. Body cam audio confirms verbal harassment of an elderly veteran. Witness video corroborates the mockery and laughter. A text message recovered from the defendant's phone, sent to a friend 20 minutes after the incident, reads, "This useless old dude should stay home." Destruction of a lawful citation, verified by officer testimony and video evidence. Attempts to influence court proceedings through corporate legal pressure, verified by communication logs. He closed the file. Standard fine for these violations is $840. I'm imposing $10,000. $8,000 of that is stayed, conditional. Rebecca Sloane's face went white. Your Honor, Caprio raised a hand. Mr. Winslow will complete 160 hours of community service at the Providence Veteran Rehabilitation Center. He will not delegate this. He will not send money. He will show up. He will assist veterans with physical therapy equipment. He will listen to their stories. He will learn what service actually means. Carter's hands gripped the edge of the table. He will write personal apology letters to Sergeant Avery and Officer Camacho. Handwritten. No attorneys, no parents. His words. Caprio turned a page. He will produce 2 public service announcements for distribution to local schools. One will be titled Respect Across Generations. The other will be titled Honor Isn't Optional. Both will be reviewed by this court before release. Both will include his full name. His voice was firm. He will complete a 12-week youth accountability and empathy development course. He will attend every session. He will participate. He will submit a final reflection essay, 850 words, titled, Honor Isn't Optional. Caprio leaned forward. All of this will be completed within 16 weeks. Documentation will be submitted every 2 weeks. Any missed deadline, any incomplete work, any attempt to have someone else complete it on his behalf. The $8,000 fine becomes due immediately, and I will impose the maximum juvenile detention allowed by law. He paused. You'll do it, or you'll try. Carter's voice cracked. I'll do it. We'll see. Caprio wasn't finished. Effective immediately, this court will implement a youth conduct escalation policy. Any case involving harassment or harm to a person over the age of 60 will be flagged for mandatory review and will include veteran service outreach when applicable. He looked at Rebecca Sloane. Additionally, we will adopt a parental contact firewall. No communication from corporate entities or family legal representatives will be forwarded to chambers without prior judicial approval. Attempts to influence proceedings will be logged and published quarterly. Caprio looked back at Carter. Finally, Providence schools will implement a mandatory veteran respect curriculum starting next semester. Every student will learn what service means, what sacrifice costs, and what respect requires. The courtroom adjourned. The weeks that followed were documented in service logs, handwritten drafts, and slow, careful growth. Week 2. Carter reported to the Providence Veteran Rehabilitation Center. His supervisor, a retired Army nurse named Linda, assigned him to equipment setup. He carried weights and adjusted therapy machines. In his log, he wrote, I never realized how much work it takes just to walk. Week 3. He submitted his first apology letter to Sergeant Avery. It was returned with a note from the court. Too generic. Too formal. Write like you mean it. Week 4. He attended his first youth accountability session. When the facilitator asked, What does respect mean to you? Carter wrote, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. Week 6. He met a veteran named Marcus, age 51, who'd lost his right leg in Iraq. Marcus told him, People think the war ends when you come home. It doesn't. It just changes. Carter wrote in his journal, I never thought about what happens after. Week 8. Carter submitted his second apology letter to Sergeant Avery. This time it was shorter and more honest. It said simply, I called you useless. I was wrong. You're not useless. I was, Avery wrote back. For the first time, Carter listened. Week 10. Carter recorded his first PSA. Looking directly at the camera, he said, I called a veteran useless because I didn't understand what service means. I was wrong. Respect isn't something you give when it's easy. It's something you give because it's right. Week 12. Officer Camacho visited the center. He watched Carter help a veteran named James adjust a walking frame. Afterward, Camacho said quietly, "He's different, quieter, better." Week of 14. Carter submitted his reflection essay. He wrote, "I thought strength was loud. Turns out strength is quiet. It's showing up when no one's watching. It's listening when you'd rather talk. It's honoring people who gave more than you ever will. My dad's money didn't make me strong. It made me think I didn't need to be. I was wrong." Week 16. Carter Winslow returned to court. He stood alone. No attorney beside him, no parent in the gallery. Caprio looked at him. "Speak." Carter took a breath. "I completed everything you asked. 160 hours. Both letters. Both PSAs. All the sessions. I met Sergeant Avery, Marcus, James, Linda, and so many others. They taught me things I never knew I needed to learn." His voice was steady now, but softer. "I walked in here thinking respect was something people earned from me. I was backwards. I had to earn it from them. I called Sergeant Avery useless. He's not. I was. Not because I'm young, because I was cruel." He paused. "I can't undo what I said, but I can spend the rest of my life making sure I never say it again." Caprio was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "The state fine is remitted. You owe $2,000. Your father can pay that. But the rest, the work, the change, the character, that was all you." Carter nodded. "You've met the terms. That doesn't erase the harm. It means you've started to understand. The real test isn't what you did here. It's what you do when no one's watching." Caprio leaned forward. "Character is built, not bought. You didn't buy your way out. You worked your way through. That matters." Carter's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Your Honor." Caprio's voice softened. "Don't thank me. Thank Sergeant Avery. He gave you something you didn't deserve. A second chance." 4 months later, Providence published its first quarterly intimidation attempt report. 7 influence attempts were documented. All were declined. The parental contact firewall became municipal policy. No family legal teams reached judicial chambers without screening. The Veteran Respect curriculum, launched in 12 Providence schools. Over 1,400 students completed the module in the first semester. Winslow Luxury Group quietly launched a youth respect initiative. An internal memo cited Carter's case as a catalyst for corporate accountability reform. Sergeant Thomas Avery received formal recognition from the mayor. The ceremony was small. Carter attended. He didn't speak. He stood in the back and clapped. Officer Brian Camacho was promoted to training officer 6 months later. He cited the Winslow case in his application essay as a moment that reminded him why consequences matter. Carter Winslow continued volunteering. He didn't post about it on social media. He didn't add it to college applications. He simply showed up every Saturday. He listened. He learned names. He carried weights. He learned what strength actually looks like. He entered the courtroom, calling a veteran useless. He left understanding what service truly means. Judge Caprio kept a handwritten note card on his desk. It said, "Honor isn't optional." He looked at it every morning before court began. This story has been dramatized for educational and storytelling purposes. It is not intended as legal advice or reporting.